Try Before We Die, the whiskey review show where we don't know what we're drinking, but we'll tell you what we're thinking. I'm here with my pal Mal.
Yes.
Now, we're recording this episode 2 days before Veterans Day. So it only seemed fitting to invite our friend Rick back on the show, I think, who was here for our last Veterans Day recording.
If not two.
Yes. Yeah. Now, air cav?
Just cavalry.
Just cavalry. So in this modern era, tanks.
Tanks, Bradleys,
Yep.
Cav Scouts, mortars, and then they cross-attach to howitzers, A-10s, and Blackhawks, and Apaches. Badass.
Right?
Yeah.
Badass?
It is badass.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Rick, and thanks for your service.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, we could talk to Rick about tanks and all that for a long time, but this isn't tanks until we die. This is try before we die. And so let's see what we're going to try tonight. And Rick, you're a Scotch whiskey man.
I like Scotch whiskey.
Now,
I do
you
like
were saying
single malts, and I'm looking for number 80 to 100.
Actually, you're looking for 76 to 101.
Okay.
Rick has never had a wolf
Randy.
burn.
Come on, Randy. Do me.
I really hope this happens.
I actually do as well.
Yeah, but if it doesn't,
It's still going to be good.
that's the deal. Tonight it'll be bottle
236.
236. So
Lord.
we're not in a wolf burn, but we are on a small shelf, I think, on the backside. We'll see everybody around the corner as I pull bottle 236. We're over here to one of the smallest shelves in the bar with only 18 bottles, and we're at bottle 236. Well, we know this is 237 with this handy dandy number. We go back one, and we're here at a Jura, the Sound. This, I believe, is part of a retail or travel exclusive duty-free only series, which includes the Bay, the Paps, and I think there's one more, the Road. I'm not quite sure, don't have it yet. But Jura, the Sound, coming in at 42.5, region, only in our hearts, the Islands region. We'll see everybody back at the bar. You guys here? We got a Jura.
Yep.
Now, this is the Sound. This is part of what I believe to be a travel exclusive release series coming in at 42.5. This looks like a full liter. It is a full liter, which would also be an indicator of the duty-free shops, right? We also see here PX Cask.
Jimenez. Sherry cask. Pedro.
Pedro Jimenez. Jimenez. Right. Now, we know Rick was hoping for a wolf burn, and how could we not just prove that off camera, we're going to let you have a glass of the wolf burn 10-year-old, their first age statement release.
It's almost like it's my birthday.
But in the meantime, let's get this Jura opened and see what the Sound tastes like. You got something to say?
No, I'm not going to say. No, can't do it.
Will you get us in trouble?
Yes.
Okay, don't do it. No age statement. Right. Classic sherry flavors. Any ideas?
Sweet.
Sweet. Okay.
Fruity.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
Maybe some thickness on the... Oh,
Wow.
That cork
That was
fit.
Yeah, that was a tight fit.
Yes. I'm glad that didn't fail. All right, here we go. No gurgle because of the bottle shape. Let's see if we can get this cork back in.
Good Lord.
All right. All right, the Jura, the Sound. Oh, yes, we'll capture. Rick, have you had a Jura before, to your knowledge?
I have not. So I'm looking forward to it, no matter what we get.
All right, all right.
forward
So
to
it's an island. Jura is actually its own island, where the Jura Distillery is.
The only distillery.
Okay, is that true?
Yeah.
All right. You've been doing some research?
Yes.
I don't believe it. All right. It's a sister island, I believe, pretty close to Isla.
Okay.
But Jura generally not a peated whiskey. Okay. But very common to have maritime notes because of its seaside exposure on all sides. Right. So your first Jura, later to be your first Wolfburn. You've had Jura several times, I know factually.
Yeah, like 5, maybe 6.
Yeah, several, right?
Yeah.
The 7 wood, the 76, the 77, the late 80s labeling, the 21.
Ooh, a 21.
Yeah, it's one of our favorites.
And that is like one of our favorites.
Yep. All right. Well, let's see what sort of color we get here from tonight's Jura. Just hanging on this label. There we go. Medium gold, light amber. What do you got, Rick?
Mature hayfield.
Oh,
That gold, the gold tone.
like,
Actually, that's quite impressive.
that was good. That's clever.
I like that.
Or just
Yeah.
a really nice blonde.
Well, right. But like late summer needs to be cut.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely.
I was
see
going to
it.
say amber.
All right. We can fall back into these classic colors,
Yep.
but I like what
I
Rick
liked
did
that.
there.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm starting to see legs on my glass, which I rarely do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I usually see
Yours
them
are
on
wicked
yours.
developed.
Yeah.
Oh, and they're nice and slow.
Yeah, even Rick's are friggin', those look like legs.
Yeah. And for 42.5, we have a sherry casking. Not sure if this was a sherry finish. There's not a lot of information on this label. Sure, people could just dig around online and find out about this series because it's a current release series. I'm not sure if I had this brought back from somebody traveling or myself. I want to actually think I won this one at an auction.
So just to clarify this, and you've said this a couple times, and this is for people who, like me, don't really pay attention to the facts and don't really retain any information. But you say sherry cask and it's sherry finished.
Okay.
So what would be the difference?
Okay. Do you have his answer, Rick?
So I think the sherry cask is after the initial 3 years in the oak, it goes into sherry for more aging. But the sherry finishing is just in the casks for the last bit, I think.
So Rick's got part of it correct.
Okay.
Right. So some whiskeys spend their entire life in a sherry cask, which of course would be an oak cask as well, but it held sherry. So some whiskeys spend their entire life in a sherry cask. Some it splits time, significant amount of time either way. Other times it will just finish and it may just get, say you have a 14-year-old sherry finish. It may have spent 12 in a bourbon, 2 in a sherry cask. In fact, while some of the crew and I were in Scotland, we drank a Craigellachie, I think, at Whiskey Hammer that had spent 2 years in a sherry cask after its initial 20-plus year run in a bourbon cask. And it may not, and I'll have to get that right. But so finish is usually a shorter time, but you can spend all your time in a sherry cask as well. Okay.
All right.
Right. So what we don't know is this all sherry or not. At 42.5, what we don't know about coloration. And we don't have any statement about color or chill filtering. The lower the ABV, this travel exclusive, there we go. Unforgettable journey around our unique island. All right, so here we go. All right, matured in American white oak, ex-bourbon barrels, enhanced by casks which held 15-year-old Pedro Jimenez sherry. Interesting, because it did say PX15. So now we know what this front label was. So it spent some time in casks that held sherry for 15 years, which is getting harder and harder to do, right? To find these older sherry casks that held sherry for decades. We're seeing a lot more sherry seasoning, which means they're taking seasoning, splashing it around the inside of the barrel, letting it age for a brief period of time, and then adding the Scotch to get the flavor. So this could be potentially a much deeper experience due to the 15-year sherry cask. Okay. So we've sort of come on this late summer hay, needs to be cut, classic amber color, golden. No age statement, 42.5, travel exclusive, Jura. The sound. Classic sherry.
Very much so.
Classic sherry notes.
Salt, though? You smelling the salt?
Little maritime, little sea air. Yeah, I get the salt.
Yep.
For sure. Right. The initial nose when the cap comes off was all about that sherry, that quick hit of that little sulfuric sherry. Bam. And it's still there, but it has moved on to some other flavors. And so knowing that we have some ex-bourbon barrel action here as well, could easily find, and not that I'm picking it up, but you could find some vanilla. Could find.
That's it. That's what I'm smelling, some vanilla in there.
Okay. All right. Between those two cask types, chocolate,
Yep.
right? Or a hazelnut, something along those lines as well could come forth. Again, always so amazed at the differences in Scotch whiskey from bottle to bottle, region to region, expression to expression, whether it's a different distiller or the same distillery, bottle to
Or
bottle.
the age, even.
Right.
The age really makes differences.
Right, how different they can be. Right. With these like air, yeast, with like this very short list of ingredients. And boom, and what do they craft out of this? And again, that third or that extra ingredient, right, is wood. And what's going on with the wood? Is it a European tree? Glenmoe does some Ozark oak as well, right? So they actually own land, I think in Missouri, and they craft their own barrels there and bring the wood over. So the origin of the tree also seems to matter. And again, when you're doing something over time, that's the test, right?
Yeah.
It's not immediate.
Even if you look at just wood in general, if it's different parts of the country, you would get different looks, different color, based on what the nutrients in the soil are,
So now even the oak, right? You're saying that this is American white oak. So in American white oak, they use that for ships a lot because it holds the water at bay.
Tight
right?
grain.
Because it's a closed grain.
Yep.
Now a red oak is an open grain. And so that actually draws fluid back up into it, and it's not a good shipbuilding oak. So I'm assuming that most of the oak that we're talking about for barrels is going to be white oak.
I think absolutely. And then I think what we have are some European variants, which is a little bit of a wider grain, the way I think I have this.
Yes.
And it creates a little bit of a different flavor profile. So all these things that come together, and somebody gets the pleasure of determining, this is ready to sell and represent us.
There's a nice chocolate smell in there as well.
All right, you're getting it?
Yeah.
All right, so we got vanilla, we've got chocolate, maybe some hazelnut, classic sherry. Let's see about this Jura, the sound. And the sound in this sense isn't probably what our glasses just did, but rather
The water between the island and Scotland.
right, the bay, right, the channel, right, yes, it's a maritime word. Okay. So before I go there, like in Rhode Island, we have Narragansett Sound. So it's a maritime term too. Chocolate for sure.
Yes.
Or like the Ferrero Rocher, the hazelnut chocolate thing going on there. It's slightly nutty, and it's really got that sweet, dark flavor to it.
The first word that came to mind for me was bright. I mean, it was a bright blast of taste. Put it in the front of your mouth, but it filled everything.
Yeah.
It kind of like seeped everywhere all at once.
I'm still surrounded with this
And
chocolate.
it's a fairly thin.
Right. It's not super viscous.
Yep.
What are you picking up now?
I'm on there with the chocolate.
Yep.
And maybe, and I was thinking like chocolate, some sort of fruit covered in chocolate, raisins or something.
Okay.
But I like the way I like that way you described it, because it's exactly sort of the same feeling I got. You know, it just expanded across my mouth, very bright, and then it just like goes across, and I pick up this chocolatey raisin taste as it starts to get off the curve of my tongue, and as I start to bring it back.
Well, I appreciate, Mal, what you're talking about, which is sort of chocolate covered something.
Yes.
Right. And raisin, I can sort of wrap my head around because it's not like a deeply sweet fruit, right? Right. I could also go with some sort of chocolatey nut happening here as well, but not a powerful, obvious like a walnut. You know, this might be more of a chocolate cashew or something. Just something that's nutty with a sweet outside. Something that's not deeply sweet as a fruit, like a raisin.
Yep.
But covered in
Hazelnut,
chocolate.
maybe?
Yeah, or a hazelnut. Again, I could go back to that holiday candy in the gold tinfoil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
So
but it
that's what I
fills
was
the whole
getting.
mouth.
That's what I was getting, was the more of the nut than the chocolate. I mean, the chocolate is there,
Yeah.
but I was getting more of the nut flavor, that almost woody taste and texture and feel that you get when you eat a nut.
No.
Little dry.
Yeah.
Right.
There, yes.
Right,
Dry.
Right. Yep. Right. With this chocolatey sweet top and this sort of dry center, which again doesn't mean not a dried raisin, right? But either way, we're saying the middle, the center isn't the sweet part. It's the edges that are the sweet part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something else, and I'm not going to be able to pick it out.
All right. Well, Rick noted vanilla on the nose. Are you picking anything up there from the bourbon casks?
There is a slight vanilla taste.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. As it sits in your mouth and it does this coating and you suck it through, now I have that almost when you lick a spoon after you've dipped it in ice cream and you've taken the ice cream off and you've eaten the ice cream,
Yeah.
but there's still some on your spoon, and then you put it in your mouth and you clean it off.
Yep.
That's the feeling I get now, that vanilla coating, that just not overpowering, just sitting there, just being its own.
This is an easy whiskey to drink,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
No questions.
No.
42.5 seemingly comes across. This is a low ABV whiskey.
Yes.
Yes.
But I do like that it's got a bit of a bite that some of the higher level ABVs seem to have.
Yep.
I like, and not a bite, that bright feeling.
That it presents itself
Yeah.
as whiskey.
Yes,
Yes.
it's whiskey. You know
It is whiskey. It is whiskey. But it is definitely sherry influenced. 15-year-old PX casks. That's kind of cool. All right. The Sound. The duty-free exclusive from Jura, part of a series. Coming in at 42.5, the full 1 liter bottle. So I guess, Mal, you can have a little bit more. Let's see what the crew has for us. Truly one of my favorite notions.
Doesn't Chuck E. Cheese say this over there?
Tookie says a lot of things, but I get a valve. Here's to the journey, not just the destination.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Jura. The Sound, 42.5%. 15-year-old PX casks used as part of the process. This whiskey presents as what it says it is. Sherry wrapped in some sort of nutty, dull fruit flavor. Chocolate all on the edge.
The chocolate is more and more, as I start doing this, is even more pronounced.
Yeah.
So as a side note, too, in the military, you go to the PX.
Oh.
And you can post exchange.
Yeah.
And you can get your whiskey there.
With a bearded man and a British guy.